everybody. Guest guitar tipper today. My name is Michael Eisenstein. You may know me from my band Letters to Cleo, my instrumental band The Reigning Monarchs, my solo guitar pieces on Instagram at the Eisenstein, or maybe you've seen me play with Melissa Etheridge or Lisa Loeb or any number of different artists around the country. So today's tip is how to play other people's music. We spend a great deal of time learning scales and fancy chords and licks and solos to be able to express ourselves and do a lot of things on the guitar, but a lot of it is just real nuts and bolts, just playing some stuff that somebody else played in the studio once before. And I remember hearing an interview with Mark Rebo a couple of years ago, and he was talking about, I think he was talking about the lead vocal, and he referred to it as sacred text. You know, everything must serve the lead vocal. You can't fuck with that. And I basically just count the recording itself as kind of sacred text. Think about how much work goes into making an album, and money, and effort. So respect that when you go to show up for a gig playing with somebody. They'll be so happy that their stuff sounds like the record, and the singer will sing better, and everybody will play better because they know what's coming, they know how it sounds. So I have sort of a 3-step process that I do to prepare, and I'll share that with you, and it's probably what a lot of you do already, but even at my ripe old age, I get called into some rehearsals and people are not ready or don't have charts or didn't learn stuff, and it never looks good. So here's what I do. First thing I do is I get my song list, and I just chart out all the songs. And I have some books here from tours I've done in the past. For tours I generally do these little composition notebooks, and you can just kind of go through, which if you camera can pick it up, but there's, All I Want, Everything But You. I don't know whose songs these are. Oh, this is Glenn Phillips from Toad the Wet Sprocket. That was a one-off, but it was a great gig. Fantastic singer. Over here we've got Tonic. Did a summer tour with them. And let's see, sometimes there's rhythmic stuff in here, but it's basically the forms. I have some notes to myself here. Standard tuning, chorus, pre-chorus has wah-wah pedal, drop D, capo 3 here. A lot of rhythmic information on this one that I thought I would forget for whatever reason. But chart out the entire forms, make any notes you need to make to yourself. Most of the gigs I do are not appropriate to have charts on stage anyway, but I have these things. If Tonic needs me to go play with them next weekend, I can relearn this stuff really easily because I've got all my charts here. Also, not unlike learning the periodic table, if you write it down, it's easier to remember it. If there's a measure of 2 at the end of the last pre-chorus, it's a switch, surprise. You wrote it down, you can visualize it. If there's a 7-bar phrase in the bridge, you graphically wrote that down and you'll remember it. So yeah, make charts of everything. If you're not a music reader, write it out in some way that you can understand, that you know what's going to happen. And I know some people who are not music readers, and they make charts that make no sense to me, but they understand them, and that's all that matters. The next thing is, I learn the guitar part that I think it's most appropriate for me to play on each section. And what I mean by that is, let's say there's 2 guitars and the other guitar is the lead singer. I would tend to assume that they'll probably be strumming the chords along, and that fancy, you know, upper arpeggio is going to be something for me to learn, to play over it. If there's a, you know, a guitar solo, memorize it, note for note. They'll be happy. They spent half a day on that guitar solo probably, or at least an hour, and they like it. Generally people say I didn't have time. I usually figure they had the time but didn't choose to spend the time that way. But sometimes you don't have time. At least learn the opening barrage, the opening phrase, so that it comes out of the gate just like it does in the record. The singer's singing, if their vocal goes over into the guitar solo, it feels right. It's just, it matches. So yeah, just sort of come up with that playable guitar part. There can be sometimes layered guitar parts with, you know, different effects, and pick and choose. If you're not sure, learn them both so that you can change on the fly in rehearsal. Be like, oh, you want me to do the lower thing? Got it. And then the last thing I do, once I kind of have that, all the notes down and got my charts made, is figure out the sounds. It's I mean, more than ever now with the pedal craze that's going on. If there is a certain delay on this song, I can think of one example. Actually, I subbed for this band for a while. This is going back a few years, but they had this opening track on their record. It had a very specific, like, half-note delay on the guitar, and it was like a lead line kind of thing. And you know, we went into the first rehearsal, and you know, I played it as I would on the record with the fuzz pedal and the half-note delay, and we finished the song, and they were just like, wow, you know, our guitar player never had that delay right. You know, I think it was probably something that the mix engineer did. And they were so excited. I was like, oh, note to self, always get those delay times right. If it's a Leslie and you don't have a good Leslie simulator, you can crank up a chorus pedal or a flanger to just get a fast warbly sound going, and the ear will fill in the rest. They'll be happy. You know, don't bring a Les Paul and a Marshall to a Telecaster and a Tweed Deluxe gig. Bring the appropriate gear or something you have that's versatile enough to get the sound. So again, the list of obvious things. Chart it all out. Learn the music inside and out. You cannot pay too much attention to detail. And people will be thankful. They will call you back. You will get that gig again, or you will keep that gig forever. I like to call it Wally Pipp. He was the famous first baseman that Lou Gehrig took over for one day and then didn't miss a day for 20 years. I always try to Wally Pipp my way into every gig, which is to, you know, become the guy. Oh, there's Ringo. Anyway, that's my tip for the day. Thanks, Adam, for having me, and I hope to see you guys again. Maybe I'll do another tip someday.